Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to rock and roll straight away. My name's Lewis Huckstep. I'm a mindset coach and also a business owner of a couple of businesses. I love learning, love teaching, love coaching, and I love making content. So I like to share, my lessons and my learning curves as I go through them to hopefully save you guys from having to go through that yourself in a very painful way. And I hope that people get value from this stuff. So I guess what I'd like to go through today, guys, is we're going through leadership. So leadership is honestly one of my biggest and painfulest learning experiences that I've honestly been through and I'm going through, because I guess leadership it's a never-ending journey. You don't ever become the perfect leader. I don't think that really exists, but it's definitely an incredible skill set to learn. It's an incredible, aspect of life and business to really dive into and not avoid. So I guess what I wanted to go through is like what I see as leadership, what I identify as a great leader. And I guess some of the learning experiences that I've been through, and I guess the challenges I've been through, and I guess hoping that you guys get some value from it. So if you're looking to learn leadership, guys, please listen up, take pen and paper, and write some things down. So I guess what I've gotten down here, I've got down what does a great leader do to me? So for me, in my opinion, what is a great leader? So I've got a couple points. I'll go through them, and then I'll go through them in detail, okay? So a great leader for me knows the mission and the vision that you're there to achieve. Whether that's in the business, whether that's on the football field, whether that's in the relationship, whether that's in the friendships, there's always a mission to be achieved. There's always a direction and a vision that we're heading towards. So the leader knows what that is. And then secondly, he or she knows how to articulate that onto other people's values. And it allows other people to resonate and connect and buy into that vision and that mission according to what's important to them. Because to influence someone, you need to know what already influences them. And there's the difference between, say, someone who's ethically selling something and someone who's pressure selling just to make money is the intention behind it. So is the leader... does the leader have the best intention behind getting people enrolled in the mission and the vision that you're there to achieve? Because you can, and I'm guilty of getting the wrong people involved because I just needed people to get involved back, I guess, unconsciously when I was doing it, rather than saying no to people that shouldn't really be on the team because it actually does more damage long term than it does benefit. So that would be the first two steps. Third step, is that a great leader is authentic and knows how to be vulnerable. This has been a huge learning curve for me because I really grew up thinking that and getting influenced that being vulnerable, being authentic, being real, showing emotions is weak and not strong. And a great leader needs to be strong all the time for the team. And I really disagree with that. I think a great leader knows how to be vulnerable because that allows other people to be vulnerable back. And they know how to be authentic. They're not trying to be someone who they're not. They know who they are. They're true to who they are. That means they'll attract people who are connected with the authentic version of them. So I think that is a huge, huge, huge step. Number 4, a great leader knows how to push their players, but they also know when to rest them, because that is a big, experience that I've been through, pushing my team too hard and being too brutal on them. And then a lot of time being too nice, being okay with people getting away with things and not holding people to the standards, which is the last step. Number 5 is the leader sets the standards and the pace of the team. So those are the 5 steps that I really resonate with when it comes to a leader. And leadership encompasses so many different things: communication, knowing your numbers, knowing how to communicate effectively, knowing the mission, knowing the vision, knowing how to hire properly, knowing how to fire properly, knowing how to make decisions, there's so many things that go into leadership. Those are just the 5 that really resonate with me. So I thought I'd just dive into those 5 for you on this video. So number 1 was really getting clear on the mission and the vision that you're there to achieve. So whether it's you're in a football team and you're there to win the games and win the championship, or if you're in business and you're there to help X amount of clients or X amount of customers to make X amount of profit, to give X amount to charity, whatever the mission is. And the mission needs to be big enough that other people can come along for the ride. Because if your vision is only big enough to help yourself, no one's going to get excited about just helping you. So your vision needs to be big enough that other people can come along for the ride and get what they want out of it, as well as working towards that common goal. So making sure that the leader is really clear on what's the vision and the mission that we are there to achieve. Again, in the sporting environment, in a relationship, there is a leader, and there's only ever one leader, guys. You have different aspects where you might step up as in a leadership role, like in different, I guess, aspects of that relationship. But if you had to nail it down, there's a leader in the relationship, and it's generally the masculine one. And again, masculine doesn't mean male; it could be female or male. But the masculine generally is the leader when it comes to the direction of the relationship. Where is this relationship going? What's the vision that we have for this relationship? So that's first and foremost. Get really clear on, why are you there? What are you there? If you're speaking business, why is the business there? What are you there to achieve? Why are you doing what we do? And and making sure you're really clear on that from a deep emotional level. Secondly, you're able to articulate that vision and mission to your team or to the people that are joining your mission in a way that aligns with their values. And that's where, like, going off topic, but when we hire people, you want to hire people based on values, not based on skill set, because you can teach skills, you can't teach values. So making sure that you're getting clear on what are the values of the business, and making sure we're hiring in accordance to those values. So I keep using business because it's the most, I guess, common way people, it's one of the bigger places, I should say, leadership really shows up. But again, it shows up everywhere, in the arts, in the sporting environment, in the relationship environment. There's always leadership present in everything. I'm just going to use a lot of business examples because it makes most amount of sense to most people. So making sure that a leader knows how to articulate things really, really well, because if people aren't clear on what they're going to get out of the mission, if they're not clear why they're there, it's like going, I think most people have been there before, where you're at a job where you just don't want to be there. You're not passionate about it. You're doing it just to pay the bills, but you don't genuinely love doing what you do. You do it there just to pay the bills in a simple form, versus where you're at a place where you know why you're there, you love what you do, and you will do more than what's expected because you fucking love it. That's the difference between having someone who's enrolled in the mission and someone who's just doing it just to pay the bills. So making sure that obviously the leader knows the mission, knows the vision, and then knows how to communicate that to the people that are joining the mission, and making sure they are aligned with their values. Because if there isn't alignment there, it's going to be a bad decision to bring that person on long term for the rest of the team. So making sure that you are deciding who you want on your team and who you don't want on your team, and get clear on that sooner rather than later. Number 3 was be authentic and vulnerable. This is where one of the ones where I think a lot of people get quite conflicted, because they might watch something like a business movie or just on social media where you just like this, I don't know, dictatorship level of leader where you just come in, you're stomping on people, overstepping people, and just literally dictating your way around decisions, just making decisions without any thought and just really throwing your weight around. And that's something that I probably had that perception of what a leader was like early on, and that's what I was doing because I thought that's what a great leader was. But I guess learning a lot of things, and I'm going to give a lot of resources at the end of this for what's really helped with my my leadership development. But I guess for me anyways, being a great leader is being authentic and knowing how to be vulnerable, because it allows your team and everyone in the mission and in that vision on that team to be vulnerable and authentic as well, because authenticity and vulnerability is the only way where you're going to be able to survive and achieve long term. If everyone's just got smokes and mirrors and everyone's just wearing masks and everyone's not being real, it won't be sustainable. Anyone can do that for a short period of time, but if you've got a big mission that you're there to achieve, whether it's a long-term success of the business or charities or whatever it is, if you haven't got people that are authentically there for the authentic reasons and know how to share vulnerably, if that's the way you say it, then you're just going to come into heaps of roadblocks along the way. So make sure that you know how to, as a leader, know what the authentic you is like, and know how to be vulnerable and transparent when you need to. There's definitely times where even if you're scared and you're overwhelmed and you're fearful and you need to step it up and you need to be certain and bring certainty to the team, there's definitely times for that. But there's also definitely times to be authentic and be vulnerable and say, hey guys, look, this is a challenge I'm working through right now. I don't have the answers for it right now, but I'm going to do everything in my fucking power to go figure it out. I'm going to come back to the solutions with you. And I would actually love to ask for you guys help solving this problem. So just knowing how to dance between that strong, firm leader to give the team certainty, give them direction, give them clarity, but then also know when to step into that authentic side of yourself and the vulnerable side of yourself. Next point, number 4, was knowing when to push your team, and then knowing when to support and help your team and maybe push back a little bit less. Because I'm guilty of being that kind of alpha male, alpha dominant personality trait of what I thought a great leader had to be like. And it's like kind of like if they're struggling. Oh, it's getting a phone call while I was calling this. I would think that's just how it's done. That's how you've got to be as a leader. That's what a great leader looks like. But in my experience, it's knowing when your team's struggling. It's bringing that up. I have a rule when I hire people, is I tell them this very much in the onboarding process, is I don't believe at leave your shit, don't bring your shit to work, or leave your shit at home, don't bring it to work. I believe bring it to work and let's work through it together, because your personal life, if you got things going on, it's going to show up in your professional life. So I make sure we take care of that stuff that in your personal life so it doesn't affect you in your business life. And in fact, you'll be better in your business life because you've solved that personal stuff that you're working through at home in your personal life. So I guess a good coach knows when to be firm, knows when to stretch and push your team and get the best out of them, but also knows when to rein things back and give them a bit more love and a bit more affection, a bit more time to support them through those difficult periods. So just learn, and that's a very intuition sort of thing that you're going to develop in your leadership journey, but just knowing when to push hard, go and actually stretch them and challenge them to think better, but also know when to bring it back when someone is burnt out. They might need a break. They might have been doing fucking huge weeks for months on end, and they haven't had time to recharge and fill their cups up to stay focused. So just, again, learning to read people, learning how to understand the authentic version of your team and why it's so important to be authentic and vulnerable, and just know when, again, to support your team, but also know when to push them as well. And then the last point, it really does set the standards. And this, again, has been a huge learning curve for me. Just something that resonates with me a lot is the standard you walk past is the standard that you tolerate. So if you have something, so say you hear a bit of chatter in your team or at work or whatever, like a bit of gossip or a bit of negative energy, if you walk past that and you don't pull that up, that means you're okay with that. It's like the cleanliness of your room or your car. If you see something dirty or messy and you walk past it, that means you tolerate that. And your team will only rise to your lowest standard. So something I'm always on the lookout for is, where are my low standards? Because everyone's got them. I've got low standards somewhere. You've got low standards somewhere. And where are they? And if you just think of your life as, like, say you've got like, I don't know, 1,000 categories of your life, from your health to your image to your finances to your relationship to your cleanliness of your room, cleanliness of your car, the food that you eat, how hard you train, how much you learn, etc. So you've got all areas and aspects of your life as a measurement of a standard. Whatever the lowest one is, your team will only rise to that level. Your team will rise to your lowest standard. So making sure that you're always assessing, okay, where are my low standards? Is it my health? Am I not looking after my health? Am I not being consistent with my work? Am I not planned and structured in areas that I need to be? Am I not being consistent with my training? Am I not being consistent with my lead generation? Am I not being, whatever it is, where are your low standards in life? And if you look yourself in the fucking mirror, you'll be able to tell what they are. So really self-assess, self-analyze, and be like, shit, where are my low standards? And by fixing those up, you just raise your standard and you raise your team's standard. So just making sure that the expectations, the standards, and the pace of the business and the organization is very much set by the leader. So making sure as a leader, you've got your high standards and you're always raising your standards, and your team will come with you. Because if you're, say, a 8 out of 10, you're not going to attract 10 out of 10s. If you want a 10 out of 10, you need to be a 12 out of 10. You need to be, your team won't surpass you in terms of standards. Obviously, they'll have different skill sets and different attributes that they'll bring to the team. And ideally, you're hiring people better than you at certain roles. But when it comes to standards of how you hold yourself as a leader, they will only raise to your standard. So that's my take on leadership anyways. It was a bit of an odd video. I've just been kind of seeing leadership show up again and again in my life recently. So I thought I'd jump on here and I thought I'd make a video out of it. I hope you got some value from it, guys. If you did, please like, comment below, share your thoughts, share your comments, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you got some value from this, send this to a friend, and have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying my content, and I'll see you guys on the next video.